Hey, what is up, guys? It's Forest Man. It has been too long since I've done a video. I've got a lot of great stuff and ready for this video I'm doing here today. Just a quick heads up at the end, I've got a little special surprise that I'm going to be telling you guys about. It's something new and different that I'm doing that I'm probably going to be doing for the next couple months. So be sure to stick around to the end of this video so you can see that. Just to kind of catch you guys up on what's been going on with Alliance War Kings in the last couple months here. In May, we went for the Alliance War leaderboards, and we ended up placing 4th place at the end of the month, which was fantastic. My guys did such a good job. So proud of all of y'all. We worked really hard this month, faced some really difficult teams. We ended up winning 9 out of our 11 wars that we played in May. Our 2 losses were to Noble and Valor Elite. Now, we beat Noble the first time we played them, but they made some adjustments to their bases, and the second time we played them, they were kind of ready for my strategy because, as a lot of you know, obviously I have this YouTube channel and anyone can watch how I attack. And a lot of other members of my alliance attacks in a similar fashion. So what I ended up doing after our second war against Noble and losing to them the second time was making a couple of adjustments to my attacking style, and I'm going to tell you all about that today. Also, this past month, almost all of our wars were max AG, which also makes a difference when you're using skills, you know, what you prioritize on the buildings that you're going to take out with your skills versus your units and everything else. So what I'm going to show you today is a attack against this team that we just faced, Polska 1000. Now, real quick before I show you this attack, take a quick look at the battle score. This is, and I'm going to go ahead and just say it, I believe that this is probably a record for Call of Duty Heroes 25 versus 25 Alliance War plunder score. I have never seen anyone break 61 million loot. I think the highest I've ever seen is right around 60. So if any of you guys are watching this video and you've seen it, or you know someone and you have evidence that you have beaten 61.957 million loot plunder in a 25 versus 25 person war, please let me know, mention it in the comments. And props to you if you have. But I'm going to go ahead and say today, I'm going to limb and say that this is probably a record for Call of Duty Heroes. Also, let's look at our offensive replays. This was the very first war that I've ever been a part of that was 100%. Not a single mistake made. 150 stars earned on this war. Really, really, really awesome job, guys. Really freaking awesome. So, all that being said, we're going to take a quick look at their number 2's base, and I'm going to tell you about what I'm doing differently now, and then, of course, I'll let you guys watch the replay, and then at the end of the video, I'll tell you about the new thing that I'm doing. Now, whenever we're looking at this base here, the thing that Noble did that I still got my 6 stars on my bases, but several other people and my ally here struggled, because they had basically just put every single one of their mines next to one of the hangars, and they kind of guessed on which hangars I would start on based on my previous attacks. And as far as my style of attacking goes and how I and a lot of the other people on my team fight, they had guessed it pretty well. So we lost a lot of stars the second war, and it kind of made me think if there was another way that I could attack that I wouldn't be so vulnerable, because obviously, you know, I start with the 4 AGRs, 4 ASAMs, and 4 Goliaths, and that's very effective. But if they have every single one of their mines in one corner, and I lay down my troops on that, then there's a pretty good chance that I'm going to lose a bunch of troops or a hero or whatever the case may be. So what I decided was probably my best bet was, instead of starting with AGRs, I start with 1 claw. And immediately after I drop the claw, I drop soap behind the claw, and I shoot a care package down the direction that I'm going to be dropping my ASAMs and Goliaths. The rest of my attack is pretty much the same except for the start. So looking at this base, I'd probably start on the left side. I would want to start with my claw, probably somewhere around this gold miner, and that way that gives me a little bit of buffer time for the units coming out of the hanger to make it up to my claw. Right after I drop the claw, I'll drop soap right behind it, and then I'm going to shoot a minesweeper down this direction, down the bottom of the map, because that's where I'm going to drop my ASAMs and Goliaths to take out the units coming out of this hanger. And this is what I started doing differently with the AG wars, the big time AG wars. Instead of always using lightning strikes on, you know, all three parts of my lightning strike on one hanger or one bunker or whatever the case may be, I've started splitting it up a little bit. So on this one, since I'm starting pretty close to this communication center up here, I mean there's really, when I'm attacking, I don't have a lot of time to get this done because my ASAMs are going to go pretty quick. The other thing about starting with the claw versus your AGRs, I think I mentioned this one of my previous videos. Obviously, AGRs have a whole lot more damage power per slot space than the claw does, which is a good and a bad thing. It's a good thing because obviously you do more damage more quickly, but it's a bad thing because it's more likely to trip a communication center or hanger whenever they're moving around so much. So starting with the claw, then you have basically all your ground troops are taking out every structure. None of them are prioritizing the turrets. So you're less likely to trip a hanger or a communication center, which is obviously a good thing because in AG wars, it takes you longer to blow that stuff up. So anyway, starting with how I described, my first skill streak is going to be the lightning strike. 2 hits on the communication center, 1 hit on the hanger, and then I can finish both of those off with the gunship. Obviously, I use the biggest cannon first on the gunship. I'll get the communication center finished off. Then I go to the 25mm, finish off the hanger, and then I use the rest of my 25mm on this bunker down here because that's going to be the 3rd closest threat to me, to my troops. My second lightning strike, I used 1 strike on the hanger and 2 on the bunker over here to get it weakened up. And then all I have left, essentially, is this bunker down on the bottom right and my SAM turrets. So that's where I'm obviously going to use the EMP artillery with Ghost. Now, again, I haven't really mentioned this, but in between my skills and at the start of my attack, I'm going to have to use Minesweeper at least 2 or 3 times every attack. I'm going to say 3 times is the minimum for Minesweeper if you're using ASAMs or quads or whatever the case may be. Because not only will it kill those units, but you have a higher chance of your heroes dying by getting killed by the tank mines as well if they're next to your ground units. So that's basically it. We'll go ahead and watch this replay so you guys can see it in action. And this strategy works great on no AG or full AG, whatever wars you want to use. Let's see. And you may have noticed the base that's in the background here that I have up is my survival base, my new survival base. I designed it myself. I based it off of a very common one that you see on the leaderboards. And I think the next video I will show you guys how to get all the way to level 60 in survival, which I think is probably the most wanted video that people are asking me for. So we'll do that next video. As you can see, claw, and then my first minesweeper to clear the way for those ASAMs. Care package, and then next one's going to be that split up lightning strike that I talked about earlier. I'm going to speed this up to 2 times for you. And then gunship, biggest to smallest every time. And I have a feeling if I had AGRs on that, I may have tripped one of those. But since I stopped using AGRs, again, much less likely that I'm going to end up tripping a hanger or the communications center. So 2 lightning strikes, 1 gunship. It's funny, the gunship, when you're talking about skill points, your second gunship on a max, I believe mine is level 12, the highest gunship. I think the second time you use it in a battle, it's around 635 skill points, which is the same, if not just a little bit less than using the lightning strike. So if I have to use another skill, then I'd probably use a second gunship before I'd use a 3rd lightning strike for sure. So my troops are basically going to finish this base off. My 10 assaults I'll throw around at the top there, and I knocked out this maximum command center level 12 with a really good amount of time left. And again, this is very similar to my previous, a couple of minor adjustments, but overall this is the same attack that I've always used. And again, this works. We've played the best allies in the entire game in the history of Call of Duty, done very well. My strategy has earned me, I want to say, a whole bunch of stars. This very high percentage, 98, 99% 3-star attacks. So really, really good stuff. If you practice it and learn it, you'll do great. So let's get down to my little surprise that I'm gonna doing. I think a lot of you know I actually have 3 accounts in our alliance. I've got my main one, which is what you're looking at now. I've got my mini account, which I built from the ground up. It's about to be a Command Center level 10 here pretty soon. I've also taken out, believe it or not, with that account, I've taken out one of Noble's full max Command Center level 12s with max AG. 3-starred it with a Command Center level 9. So my strategy works, guys. And then my 3rd account was a friend of mine gave to me. He had to retire, and he was in the Alliance and played with us for a long time. His name was Az, and he's got a job now that prevents him from being able to play, so I've taken over his account. But I think just for fun, I'm gonna change the name of that account, and I'll be floating around out there, and just visiting some random allies and not telling people who I am. And I just finished a war with Young Gunners 2, and I want to give a shout out to Corey, their commander. Really good guy. We just won our war against Synergy. Had a good time playing with them. So if you all are looking for a good alliance, look for Young Gunners 2. Also, if you're watching this video and you're subscribed to me and you want me to visit your alliance, then comment with your alliance's name down in the comments, and you may get a request from some random person someday that you don't know, and it may or may not be me. So if you want me to spend a war in your alliance and take a couple of bases for you, again, just like and comment on this video the name of your alliance, and I may come give you guys a visit here shortly. Again, my next video is going to be a survival mode video. I'll show you guys how to get to the top of the leaderboards using my or your variation of this base. Again, this one I designed myself. The walls are very similar to a lot of other survival mode bases that you'll see on the leaderboard, but everything else was designed and positioned by me. So that's it for this video, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you learned something new. I will see you guys all again very soon, probably within the next week, 2 weeks at the most. But that's it, guys. See you on the next one.